What's going on, guys? Stribbers here, and welcome to episode 30 of PGR2 Road to Platinum. So, we have nearly made it towards the end of the Grand Touring series. We've got 3 more events to do before we unlock the next series, and they are a speed camera and 2 street races, and then we'll unlock the next series and do the first race in that. So, we're going to start this episode with a speed camera in Washington. Going to be using the Ferrari 575, as I'm pretty sure this is the only car that can do this due to its acceleration in this class. So we've got 125 for gold and 134 for platinum. So this is in Washington, and there's a couple corners you've got to get exactly right here to get your exit speed correct for the 134 miles an hour. So we've got this tight corner there for the apex, leading smoothly into this left-hander, and you have to go towards the left-hand side to get enough space to cut into that right-hand side corner. And as you can see, I'm going slightly quicker than my Ghost there. 134 miles an hour just, and the last few attempts I did get 133 miles an hour. And it's all to do with that sweeping left-hand corner, and then having enough room to cut back onto the apex before the straight, so you don't have to ease off the throttle too much. But so that was an event down. Speed cameras are nice because they're nice and quick, even though they can be a little bit frustrating. And then we've got a couple of street races to do, which I suggest using the 575 for again, as we'll be racing against the 575 in both these street races, so this will give you the best chance in beating them. So we've got 8 cars in this race, only 2 laps, and even though this track looks big, the track soon runs out, as we're able to overtake the first couple of cars on that corner. And there's usually a bit of chaos on this first corner, so you're best to try and go on the inside there and avoid it as much as possible. As I was able to just get ahead of that 550 there, slipping into second place on the first few corners, which was nice. Coming to this hairpin bit, which can be a little bit annoying to get round, but just about doing that okay. So we've got the Ferrari 575 in front of us at the moment, so we're having to chase them down as best we can. But they are very quick driving the 575, the AI. Yeah, they drive this very well, so it is very difficult to catch up, which is why I'm using it as well. It gives you the best chance to try and catch it up. But we are making some ground on him. Going a little bit wide there, getting a bit twitchy under braking. Getting right up behind him now, but it was important that we overtook those few cars on the first few corners. As you see, I did hit the barrier there coming back up, but we are on the second lap now. We're not quite ahead of him yet, so like I said, the track does run out and there's not that many overtaking opportunities around here, although we do keep ramming into the back of him because they do slow down at random points that you don't expect them to. And eventually he broke too much in that corner, and I did bump him out of the way slightly to get into the lead there. A little bit of bullying to get him out of the way, but they do that as well, so why not? So we're halfway through the second lap, so we've just got to defend this lead, going a bit too wide on that corner. They seem to do that corner very, very well each time, as you can see right behind me now. Thought he was going to go for the inside move there, but he didn't, so we managed to cover ourselves just about there. Coming into these sharp corners here, first a right-hander, then into a left-hander. Just about sticking ahead, not too long left in the race now, so we're over half a second ahead of him. So as long as we don't do anything stupid, we should be alright here. Nearly losing the car over the raised curbs there, but we do cross the line first, just about. So it's not as long as you think, that race, even though there is 2 laps. It soon runs out, especially if you're not in second place by sort of halfway through the first lap. Then it is going to be very difficult to complete that event. And now we've got another race in Washington, 3 laps this time, using the 575 again, and I strongly recommend using this car for these street races. As you'll see in this race that we do start doing now, the first car does get away, so you need this car to try and chase him down as best as possible. 8 cars again, and for this first section I went to the outside of these corners as the the first corner is always bunched up with the cars, so this enables you to go round them to not get in the way, and then we can kind of bully that Ferrari a little bit out of the way, which is good. So we slide to 5th place, getting the better acceleration than the Lotus here around this corner, so able to overtake him up the inside into 4th place. And we've got Ferrari, the Ferrari 550, and then the Mercedes in front of that, and then we've got the 575 in front of that. And that 550 there did a terrible corner, let us through, for some reason just braked in the middle of the corner, well, coming out of the corner should I say, which enabled us to go on the inside, so that was very, very easy, that overtake. Which we move into 3rd now, so we've got to chase down this Mercedes now, the very good handling Mercedes. We are catching him up, although he will take the corners maybe slightly better than we will. But we are catching them up there, able to take him on the inside. We can see the acceleration paying off there, just about getting past him. So now we've got to try and chase down this Ferrari here, but I don't do that corner particularly well, and then the Mercedes comes up my outside and prevents me from turning as he pushes my back right end. It stops us turning left, so that Ferrari's going to gain some time on us now as we go around this left-hander, which I thought was going to exit there, but it actually goes all the way around, so I got the line completely wrong, as that does seem to go on forever, that one. But now we can see how far ahead the Ferrari is. He's disappearing off into the distance, but luckily we've not even got to the 2nd lap yet, so this is a long race. It's going to be over 2 minutes per lap. I'm getting a little bit of slowdown through that corner, which is annoying, but we are pulling away from Mercedes now, which is good, so he shouldn't be bothering us anymore. So we'll come across the line and we'll see. So 3.1 seconds is the gap to make, which is quite a lot, and I also got this line wrong on this corner because I've never come round on the 2nd lap to see what line to take for that corner. Obviously we started at the start line, so you're going a bit slower, so you don't have to take the same line. But we've got all this time to make up, so we've got to find out which corners we're going to make the time up on this Ferrari in the lead. Luckily, as I said, it's a long race. It's way over 2 minutes for a lap, so it's going to be 6 minutes, maybe 7 minutes overall race. So 2.7 seconds, so we are closing that gap. Having to drive really well though, having to push this car to its limits and really, really concentrate. And this seems to happen if you battle with the opponents in 2nd and 3rd place, etc. You're going to find this car in front just disappears into the distance. Luckily this is a long race, so we have the time to catch him up, but for example that race before when it was only 2 laps, you might not have that time. But as you can see, we are closing 1.5 seconds, so we're reeling him in every corner here. But I can't seem to get that corner right as we go spinning off to the right, so we have to do a little Scandinavian flick to the left to flick the car in. Doing this corner a little bit better this time, actually going slightly too tight to the apex there. Getting hung up on the barrier a little bit. We lose a little bit of speed through there. Very nearly hitting the barrier on the inside, but we didn't, so that corner was quite good in the end. Coming around this harsh right hand corner again. Having to move over to the right of this left-hander to cut into the apex. And that's the corner where there's a bit of slowdown in the game. But we're coming into the final corner before the last lap, or we start the last lap, and it's dropped down a little bit to 1.6 seconds, but we've halved the time from the first lap, so it's just a matter of trying to chase him down for this final lap, just to get into an overtaking opportunity, just to get him close enough to make that move. But as you can see, I'm driving fairly well here, and I'm still struggling to catch him. Until this corner it is, where he goes late on the brakes and skids, which gives us that second that we need to catch him up. And then he just decided to do the same thing as the Ferrari on the first lap actually, on that corner, which was just completely go off the racing line towards the right hand side and let us through. So it seems to happen a lot on this game. You put them under pressure behind them on the corner and they seem to do that, which is strange, but nevertheless we're in front. Coming around this left-hander, So I'll have to see how far he's behind. Right now, we should be okay. We'll see at the next split, but we should be fine now, just having to defend the lead. We've gone past the split, yes, he's 2.4 seconds behind, so opening up a nice lead there. We're going far too wide on that corner, which I don't really like. That corner is very difficult to do. But if we can stick to the lead here, and we've just gone way too wide there. Yeah, if we can keep the lead here, then that's the Grand Touring season done, or the series done. Which would only leave us 3 more series to do, so we are getting there in the campaign. Obviously there's more races in the last 3 series, so it is going to take longer to do each series, but it's when it starts getting good. Unlocking better cars each time, so it's going to get more intense. As he is actually catching up here, the last few corners we've not done brilliantly, so he's gaining time on us, but it's not going to be enough. As we cross the line in first, so that's all the platinum medals for the Grand Touring series, and there's quite a few hard ones in this series, not the easiest at all, and a nice amount of in-game kudos there, 3,200 I think it was, nearly 300, oh 3,200, yeah, so we've got 8,200 for that event, which is very nice indeed. Unlocking the new series, the Track Special series. This is a brilliant series, I really do like this one. So that's good. So as you can see, 3 more series to do. Track Specials, Extreme and Ultimate. And all the ones we've done are below here. As you can see, we've got through a fair amount. So we'll go into the Track Special series to do the first event for this episode, which is a hot lap. So we'll jump into the garage for this hot lap and we'll see what the cars are that we start with. So first of all, we've got 3 cars. Well, we'll start with 2 cars and you can unlock another car, but they're all sort of in the same group of not being able to compete with the other cars whatsoever. We've got the Vauxhall VX220 Turbo, and we also have the Lotus Exige, which are both not bad cars. Not bad cars at all. To start off, look at that Lotus's handling. Very good, very low on power sliding, decent acceleration. Poor top speed on both of them. But there are your 2 starter cars, and then we've got the Honda NSX-R, which you can unlock, which is a little bit similar to the Lotus Exige's stats, but way better top speed. But these 3 cars are just not competitive at all. They've got nowhere near as good acceleration as the other 4 cars in this class, which we'll look at in a second. So there's 3 cars that are very similar in performance, which is the Dodge Viper SRT-10. Very good acceleration, probably the best top speed in the class, and decent handling as well, with a little bit of power sliding, as you can see, but it's very controllable, as are all of the other cars in this class. Very controllable cars. And then we've got the Ferrari Challenge Stradale, or Stradale, which is very similar, again, to the Dodge. Probably got slightly better acceleration, not quite as high top end, but I think it does get to its top speed a little bit quicker than the Dodge. And it's got very good handling, 1-off full handling there. So that's pretty good in this class. And then we've also got the Porsche 911 GT3, which it's got pretty decent acceleration, not quite as good as the Dodge and the Ferrari, but when it starts to hit sort of 150 miles an hour, this car really starts to pull away with its top speed. It's very, 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 very quick to get to its top speed. But in the lower range, it's not quite as quick accelerating, but it's very planted and very good handling. So those 3 cars, the Ferrari, the Porsche, and the Dodge, are very similar in performance, but the Noble M12 GTO3 is the standout performer in this class. It's got completely unmatched acceleration up until probably 150, 160 miles an hour. This car's an absolute rocket, and it's the one you're going to have to use for most of the events in this. So this is a hot lap, and most of the hot laps you will need to use this Noble. Now, I did do this event with the Noble, obviously, and looking back on it, I probably should have used something else, mainly due to the straight that this starts on. It starts on the very long Noordschleife straight, and this sort of tops out at this 170 miles an hour, whereas the other three cars I've mentioned, the better cars, can go towards 190 miles an hour. So they are going to make a lot of distance on this car, on this long straight bit. So it's probably best to use one of the other three cars only for this hot lap though, just because of how long that straight is and how much time you're going to lose in this car. For the rest of the track, this Noble's going to take the track a lot quicker. Just in acceleration up to like 150, 160 miles an hour is just so much quicker. I think it's probably up until it gets into 5th gear. But all these hot laps and timed runs and street races that are on Noordsklief, just look at different sections of the track. So we've got the main straight there coming into these first section of corners. So it just does a hot lap on, it's not even a lap really, it's more of the, it's just part of a lap. We're coming around these corners quite nicely. Coming around the final corner now, which you've got to brake force slightly, or maybe lift off. As you see, I went on the grass slightly there, and it's very unforgiving on the Nürburgring on this game. Any wheels or any tyre on the grass, and you slow down a lot. It's very, very unforgiving. But we do manage to do this event with this car, but only just. If you look at that, it is literally less than 1/10 of a second, or less than half of a tenth. Very, very, very close for that. And it's mainly due to that first straight, which we lose so much time on. So I maybe suggest using the Porsche, Ferrari, or the Dodge for that one instead of the Noble, just because of the straight. But that is going to do it for this episode, guys. In the next episode, we've got a street race, 2 hot laps, and a one-on-one to do. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode, guys. If you did, please like and subscribe if you're new for more content, and I'll see you next time.